Hi.
Hi guys, we're live and
Ha,
I'm recording. Can you guys hear me?
cool. Yes, perfectly.
All right, perfect. Yes, it took three masters. No, sorry, five masters, and we still couldn't figure that out. How unfortunate. But okay, shit happens. But yes, thank you for doing this, guys. It was super short notice, I know. Like most of my podcast invites. I told you guys what yesterday, and then you're happy to jump on so quickly. I'm very glad. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you for asking us.
No,
Yeah,
no
thank you for
problem.
having us.
No, and big shout out to Marcela for being the first person to repeat on my podcast.
Woo!
Yes,
Such a
I feel
regular
so
guest.
special.
I feel so special. Wow, I'm so glad that people want to come back and talk to me. I have friends, but but yes, thank you guys so much. And before we get started, you guys want to do like quick intros?
Sure, let's do it. I'm
All
the
right,
worst at introducing myself, but I can try.
you got to try. You got to go for it. Marcela, why don't you show her how it's done, and then Maps
Exactly.
can
Good, you
jump in.
told me I wasn't good at it last time.
It's okay. Shit happens. Do it again.
Oh, okay.
So this is your
Uh,
redemption.
oh, no pressure again. All right. I'm Marcela, studied IMBA and big data with Gotham.
Take your
That's how I
time,
met
dude.
him. Well, I want to talk about the interesting stuff, not about me.
All right, okay, go for it.
Um, I don't know, worked in marketing, love marketing. That's why we did the podcast. And then, especially in the last couple of weeks, I want to say I've been talking to both of you about like superstition and stuff and everything that we're going
True.
to get into today. So I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about. Okay, that was probably not a better introduction, but Mafs, now you go.
Okay, so I'm a Falda, but everyone calls me Mavs. I'm from Portugal, and I met you guys through my boyfriend Fred, who was studying with you at IE. I'm also at IE doing the digital marketing master, and I have two dogs, and I really hope they behave today. Uh, but, but yeah, and yes, that's it basically, I think.
Perfect. I love that you made your dogs a part of your introduction. I think it shows where your priorities are, and I think we can all appreciate that.
Exactly. No, I love my puppies.
All right. But yes, so quick what we're going to be talking about and why we're doing this podcast. We've had these conversations at length, right? uh, you and I have had this conversation, Maps, and so have Marcela and I. We've talked about all these uh, different different things, ranging from superstitions to whether there are aliens or whether what what comes after death. And we've had all these pseudo philosophical conversations, and I thought it'd be a really nice place for us to really nice for us to get together and just sort of discuss a few of these concepts we have touched upon. And I think at the center of what we can talk about, this amazing short story that all of us have read and I've loved. I don't know what your opinions are, but let's get into it. So, at the center of what we're going to be talking about is going to be the short story "The Egg" by Andy Weir. I hope I'm saying his last name right. I can't be sure, but yeah, do any of you want to take a stab at? Okay, spoilers ahead for the short story, but any of you want to take a stab at explaining what the egg is or what it's
I
about?
think, to be honest, I think you should do it because you were the one that sent me the link. So
Okay,
I think you are the one that knows exactly what it's about.
nice way to deflect responsibility, Maps. I like it.
Oh, no, but I agree 100%. I was going to say you should be the one to do it.
All
I'm
right,
nice
okay.
at delegating.
You should do your MBA. I think you'd be perfect.
Maybe, who knows?
But okay, cool. Let's talk about the egg. This amazing short story that I came across a while back, and then I had a chance to read again a couple of months back. And I think when I read it a couple of months back, it just stuck with me. I think, or just resonated a lot more strongly than I expected it to. But okay, what the egg essentially talks about is at the heart of it, it's a conversation between a person who's just died and God. And the story is told from the point of view of God. And the person's asking God what's next for him. And God simply replies and saying, "You're going back. You're going to be reincarnated, but you're going to go back in time. You're going to be a Vietnamese villager, and you're going to live out a few years there." And the big question that everyone has when they're confronted with God comes up, what is the purpose? What that's it? Do I go back in time? I just get reincarnated? When does the cycle end? And to this, God replies, which I thought was very profound, is till you're ready to move on. And in essence, what the story is saying is the entire universe, the world that we know, everything we perceive is an egg. And the whole purpose of this egg is for us to mature, to develop into a being who is capable of transitioning or transcending onto the next realm of consciousness. And also a severe implication of this story was the fact that we are essentially every single human being. We're just living each life endlessly by being reincarnated as someone else. But in essence, we are essentially the same person, just living different lifespans simultaneously with no awareness of the fact that we are the same person. So I hope I did a good enough job of trying to explain what the story
You did.
But yeah, that's the essence of it. And I think it's a 5-minute read, and just reading this story was so I don't want to sound like I'm 14 and deep, like I'm this deep goth person, but it really was something that resonated with me and made me think about just how scary it is that this could actually be true. So yeah, and I love the story. That's my initial impression. I think I've stated that enough, but I'd love to hear what you guys thought.
I mean, for me, usually I'm pretty good at deciding if I do like a thing or not. And with the short story, it's so difficult for me because it's so complex and it touches so many points. Mm-hmm. And some of them, I really like the idea of us being the same soul, coexisting in the same dimension or different one. But, and it's nice to know that when you're being nice to someone, you're being nice to yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, I don't know if I love that idea, because I don't know if you guys read How to Make Friends and Influence People.
I have, but a long time back.
Oh, I didn't read it. I've heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't finish the book because basically what it says is that you have to agree to a certain extent with everyone, and you have to be nice in order to make friends and agree with everything. And I think sometimes we encounter certain people that we don't relate to them, and with us being the same soul, it kind of makes me look at people in a different way. So for instance, if I have a fight with, let's say, Fred, which is my boyfriend, I now think I'm fighting with myself. Maybe I'm being unfair with myself. You know what I mean?
And this change of perception came after reading the short story.
Yeah, because when Gowtham sent me the link, it was really late at night, but I was so excited and I was like, okay, I want to read the story. And once I finished, I was looking at the dogs and Fred like, we are the same soul. And Fred was asleep and I was like, who should I call and talk about this? Because this is so mind-blowing in a way.
So I want to like go deeper into something that you said, but before we quickly do that, can we, Marcela, do you want to share your impressions of the story?
I agree with it. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. Like it was very gray for me, because I like what Mafs is saying, even though I didn't think of that until you just said it about how understanding each other for the same soul. But I thought it was an interesting theory, but I don't want to believe it's true. I don't know. I think it's way too far-fetched that we're all the same soul, because how are we existing is like the thought of like marrying yourself and giving birth to yourself is just a little too far out there for me to believe. But it left me thinking, definitely.
Yeah. So here's the thing though, right? I get what you guys are saying in terms of, it's a hard pill to swallow, right? I mean, the fact that a person who you cannot relate to. You can, I mean, we can all quote a person or a type of a person that we don't really like, or we don't really like to engage with. And to think that we are the same person, or we ultimately share the similar celestial consciousness or some shit like that, is a lot to swallow. But I think it's something the story alluded to as well, is that we as individual people or as human beings cannot truly grasp the complexity, the depth of the concept of a soul itself, right?
Yes.
So, and I have to also point out, okay, to maybe bring this to more layman terms, there are aspects of our personality that we ourselves are averse to, right? There are people who love themselves 100%. We have all met them, but there are most people do live in a state of conflict. There are parts of your personality which you don't like, but they are still parts of your personality which still exist within you, and you're constantly fighting, say, urges or things like that, and it's just part of you. So why is it so hard to believe that something like this could be extrapolated to that part of your personality that you don't like could be an entire being or another entire person themselves, and it's just something you don't relate with, but you are connected in a way. You get what I'm trying to say? I mean,
Kind of, yeah. I don't know. It's the thing for me is it's obviously that if we are, because I think he talks about a soul, right?
yeah.
So for me, the thing is, obviously, if we are just one soul, we are so complex that obviously we have certain things that we don't relate to as human beings.
Do you guys believe in a soul?
In a soul?
Yeah. Do you believe that you have a soul, or there's
Yes.
something like a soul?
I mean, I'm ginger. Technically, we don't have souls, but yes, I believe we have souls.
But okay, how do you define a soul?
Yeah, because I think in the short story, it kind of says that the human mind can only have a certain perception of the soul.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, there are some theories about this, that when you die, you lose a certain amount of weight, and that weight is your soul coming out of your body. But I don't know if I believe in that per se, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't know. Sometimes I'm a bit skeptical about these things. I do want to believe in it, but if I have a soul, how does that work?
How does that work, right? How do you prove something like that exists?
How do you prove you have a soul?
Yeah, how do you prove?
Yeah.
How do you prove you have something like? It's so hard to explain, also, right? What a soul is. Like I was. Have you guys heard of Lex Friedman?
No.
Okay, he's this really, really, really cool guy who does a podcast, and he talks to a lot of these physicists and philosophers and very, very smart people, way smarter than us. These are PhD who have 2-3 PhDs with them and things like that. Half their conversations are impossible to follow. Not impossible, but they're very, very complex. It requires some amount of commitment from you to follow. But he did an interview with a guy recently, which is why I wanted to actually do this with you guys as well and talk. So basically, he talks to this guy whose name is Sheldon Solomon, and he's a social psychologist. He teaches and he's written a few books, and he talks in depth about how humans perceive mortality, and do we have a soul or not. So he gave an explanation for a soul, which I thought was which I can sort of get behind. So he says you can boil down a soul to the main purpose of that entity. So to give you an example, if you rip your eyeball out of your head, okay, and it still works.
Okay.
Nice.
And it still works, and it's looking around. All right, it's looking around, looking here, there. The soul of that eyeball is to see, right? Which is the core purpose of that eyeball. So when you think of it in that terms, how would you define what the purpose of a human being is? It's too complex, right? I mean, we all think we have a purpose. We all think there's something that we're moving towards, but it's a very complex thing to define. So in that way, I feel it sort of aligns with the story and says, yes, it's a very, very complex idea or ideology that we probably don't grasp. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think this is when religion comes into it, because it's so much easier to have a religion saying, so your purpose is this. So here, I think it's a good thing that it says that all religions are right in their own way. Mm-hmm. But for people that don't believe in anything, it's hard to find a purpose. It's hard to find a meaning for us being here. And in that sense, how our soul, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So can we talk about religion? Are you guys okay getting into that?
Yeah.
Yes, fine.
Yeah. So quick question: are you guys religious?
I used to be a firm believer, and now I'm not. I mean, I was born into this family where my father was the biggest atheist on earth, and my mom, she kind of believed. She was Catholic, but because she got divorced, she couldn't go to church and perform certain aspects. So she continued believing, but she wouldn't go. And I used to go to church a lot, mostly by myself, like in the middle of the week, just to think about things and say how much I was thankful for the life that I have. Uh-huh. And then I went to this Catholic university. And because everyone was against so many things and they were so judgmental, I kind of realized that my idea of being a Christian and going to church was kind of my idea and not exactly what the Bible teaches you to do. You know? Yeah. And because of that, I think I kind of start thinking on my own, and now I'm not religious. Uh-huh. The thing is, I do believe that something exists, but I don't believe that us humans can write a book and say, these are the guidelines that you have to follow in order to find God.
So you're agnostic now. You're probably not religious, but you do believe there's some entity or something out there, a greater purpose.
Exactly.
What about you, Marcela?
I think I would consider myself religious. I'm not the most devout, I guess, or practicing Catholic, but I do. I believe in God. I have trouble, I don't know, kind of the same thing. I feel like a lot of people take it too far, or like forget to adapt or interpret the Bible to, I don't know. I guess I do believe in God. I question sometimes the actions of people who claim to be really religious here on earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, so I'll tell you guys about me. It was, so I grew up with Hinduism, and that was the religion that my family, we followed for generations. And my dad was never, I would not say he was very religious. He didn't pray or go to the temple very often, but my mom did. My mom was, and she would take us along as well. And when I was a kid, I didn't really believe, but I got into this OCD when I was a kid a little bit, because I would keep repeating this one prayer thinking, okay, if I do that, I'm not going to be haunted tonight or anything like that. But at one point, I think when I reached like these teenage years, it became cool to not be religious, to be like, oh yeah, I don't believe God exists. That's not my jam and all that shit. But as I grew older, and I think I started rediscovering religion itself from my own an unbiased perspective. And I got to look at it from outside and look at it for what it is, not a rigid set of rules like you guys were talking about, like this is you have to, these are your 10 commandments and you have to follow. It's 10, right? They're only 10, or are there more? I'm not sure.
Yeah, 10.
It's 10.
All right, okay. It's like, I was like, is it
don't steal, don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's not these rigid rules that you have to live your entire life by. It's like if you break them, you go to hell. But it's just be a good person, do good onto others, and there, it's it's. I think it's comforting to some degree, or exciting even for me to believe that there is something more, beyond this current realm of existence. There's something more fantastical, something more that is freeing and allows me to believe there's like a greater power. So I like to believe that, and for some reason, right, I find that I don't know how you guys feel, but when I go to these places of worship, which is go to a church or go to a temple, there's a vibe to it, right? There's definitely like this some amount of I don't know how to categorize it, but a positive energy associated with that place. Do you guys feel that way? Have you felt that?
I used to be honest, nowadays, every time I go to a church, I feel so uncomfortable being there
Mm-hmm.
because I don't believe in most things they do believe in. And I don't know, I just feel uncomfortable. Like I don't agree with these people. And it looks kind of a ritual in a way. So I don't know, maybe if I go to a temple, I won't feel that way because
You don't
I
associate that
never,
with, yeah.
exactly, but going to a church, it's different. I much rather go to like an empty field or to the beach or something. Then I can feel more peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I can see that.
Yeah. You, Marcela?
So, no, I usually like going to churches, but this is gonna sound weird, but when they're empty, like when you're kind of like not go for mass, just go to like a church
No,
and like
absolutely. I agree with you that I don't go for mass. I go but just to quickly interject, when I was in Salamanca, I would go to one church every morning and it was empty. I would just go sit there for like
Mhm.
5-10 minutes. But yeah, go on, Marcela.
yeah, always interrupting, Gowtham. No, I agree that I liked when it's something. Also, when I was living home before I came to do the masters, I would tend to go on Thursdays to mass, like the I forget what the name is, but I would go on Thursdays, and it was a short mass, and it was like I don't know. I guess there was something in my probably not right way of thinking that since you're supposed to go like on a weekend, right? And it kind of just the fact that you're supposed to makes me want to be like, why? Versus me going out of my own will, not because it's telling me. I don't know if am I making any sense, but
Yes.
and I liked going alone because sometimes I feel like it could be a show, especially back home. It's like, oh, you go to mass so people see you going to mass, so they see that you're a good person, and then you go to your friends, and then after you like go hang out or do something like, it's not really. You don't. I feel like and this is not. I'm generalizing. I'm not saying everybody, but I feel like some people aren't even there for the right reasons. So I feel like it's better when I go to church. I like to go like alone and at a time where I'm not supposed to be there. I guess just so you can really reflect. But I can see where an open field or the beach would give you more peace.
I like that. I think that's a really, really cool, or actually, very true thing also that you brought up. It's you can have a religious experience anywhere, right? Essentially, or
Mhm.
Yeah.
maybe religious isn't the right word. A spiritual experience anywhere, and it's a matter of maybe chasing that, not chasing that, but like, but I think it's important to have that. For me personally, I've had that. I used to hike a lot when I lived in India. I lived towards the last year before I left. I lived in a place which was very close to the mountains, and I would go as often as I could and hike alone on these trails all alone. But I never felt threatened. I never felt in danger. But I would almost always feel at peace when I went. And for me, that was a spiritual experience. And I think that also should count, right? As you don't have to have a religion which is constrained by the current set of rules, current set of books that have been written, but you can create or have one of your own which has meaning to you. Am I making sense? Is it
No, no, you are. I mean, for me, it's just because every time I go to these places like the beach, I feel in peace with myself. And if I would go to the church, because I used to go a lot when I was younger, I always have these words in my mind because they were always saying, we are sinners and we are here to ask for forgiveness. And I was like, why am I a sinner? Just because
Yeah.
I don't do certain things doesn't mean that I'm a sinner, you know? And in nature, you don't have anyone telling you that you should be thankful. You just simply are because you appreciate things,
Yeah.
you know?
What's your favorite place to go to? Like, where do you guys want to, like, if you have to have this period of self-reflection, or, you know, and we all do, right? We all need to sometimes rewire the way we think and what we have to do. Where do you guys go? What do you guys do?
Where you go, Mars?
Not to be a copycat, but yeah, the first thing that came to mind would be like the park or the beach. But
Yeah.
definitely like if you're alone. I love parks, and I don't have a lot of parks back home, or like it's not safe to go as like you would go here in Madrid. So if you just go by yourself, turn their phone off, like that would be my favorite part, especially if I'm like over here and it's early morning. Most people back home aren't awake yet, so it's like can't be bothered. I don't know, you really feel alone and just chill at the park.
Do you sit or do you walk around?
Both. And I'll read.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
You read?
No, Mars?
Yeah. You sound surprised. Have you not noticed that I can read?
No,
I
no.
possess that skill.
I meant as an act of, say, you know, like an act of penance, or like your sort of prayer is reading.
I don't know if it's a sort of prayer, but I do feel like when I read is when I disconnect and I guess eventually reflect. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't feel like I need to. I feel like I can talk to God throughout the day. I don't think like I need to be somewhere or a specific time or do to like a specific prayer time. I feel like I just do whenever.
Yeah, I still do this thing, which I sometimes find really stupid, but usually when something nice happens to me, I immediately say thank you. And I look at the ceiling, don't ask me why, but I don't know, it's something that you do every single day. But I would say that every time I need to regroup and think, I usually take the dogs to the beach, but usually it's during winter because no one is there. And I just stare at them. Because honestly, yes.
Or the dogs.
No, but like mostly the dogs because they are playing and I don't want them to get hurt. But yeah, but you just start thinking about like dogs are always happy. I mean, most of the time.
Yeah.
So you kind of think like, I want this. Why I'm over complicating things? So yeah, it's nice. Usually that's what I do.
Do you think it's true? I've read this somewhere, but the what it says is the smarter you are, the more miserable you are. Do you think that's true?
It's true.
Yeah.
No,
I think so too.
100. Yeah, because honestly, you look at dogs. They are so stupid. It's true, but they are
true,
always
right?
happy.
If you're oblivious, if you're ignorant of a lot of things, I mean, it's so easy to be happy, dude. I mean,
ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is so much bliss. I mean, what do you care about? Like, you could literally like, you could not care. Like, okay, like, what are we all pursuing, dude? Like, Marcela, Mafs, like, we're doing all these masters because we want to excel professionally, right? We want to see ourselves, say, in like 5-10 years, this very high level executive with earning these big bucks and making these, you know, major impactful decisions, right? What if you tomorrow you just take up a blue collar job and you earn enough to live a decent life? Why can't you be happy with that? Why would you guys not be happy with that? Tell me that. Would you be happy with like going and working in a cafe for the rest of your life? How would you feel about that?
I have to say, I wouldn't be happy. This will sound so bad, but it's true. I don't know. I think what makes me take these masters and try my best, it's honestly because I want a comfortable life where I don't have to make choices in a way that, oh, this month I have to save money to pay the bill, so I cannot travel.
Yeah.
I cannot do this. And when you reach a certain degree where you have enough money to do everything you want, you kind of have freedom in a way, or at least you hope you will have freedom. And when you're doing, like, working at a coffee shop or something, I'm not saying that you won't be happy or you won't have freedom. Probably you are happier than doing all these masters and going through all this stress, but you have to make a lot of choices, you know. It's not as easy.
Yeah, it's not as easy. I know it's not a easy. We take for granted a lot of these luxuries that probably someone who's working a blue collar job can't afford, and I get that. I totally get that. But yeah, quickly before I say what I have to say, Marcela, do you think this holds true?
I think it depends on the day you ask me, because some days I'm 100% for that, and like go to like a beach somewhere, prime tourist location, set up a little bar. What more could you want? Like beach day every day, you can meet new people constantly. But then other days it's like I am getting these masters because I want to like accomplish something, or like what we talked also about in the marketing podcast, like I don't know, do stuff that has an impact. And then also, like, I do feel like part of you always, if you can do good, you should be doing if you can.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Some
mean
days
good comes from a lot of places, right? Good comes from you working in a NGO. You could work in a dog pound, taking care of these adopting dogs and taking care of them, and that is good.
100%.
I would love.
Yeah.
That is 100% good, right? Nobody can come to you and say, "Hey, this is not any good work." I disagree. The fact that you're dedicating your life taking care of these living beings is good work. But
yeah, I agree with that.
okay, I'm going to say something, this is my opinion. It might not be. It's not a very fun opinion for us to consider. But again, my opinion personally, you don't have to agree with it.
Okay.
But I think the reason we feel we have this ambition to do better, or to achieve and be successful, and this includes me as well, all of us, is that we have a higher perception of our intelligence. We consider ourselves slightly more intelligent than the rest of the demography, right? You do feel, I'm not talking about the current peers that you have in the university, but in general, when you look at the population in general, you think, okay, I'm definitely smarter. I know I
do.
I believe you think that.
No, I believe we all think that, if you, that's why we're here. We're doing this because you're putting yourself in a place of opportunity where you have the intelligence to be successful, right? Would I tomorrow go and join say a medical school? No, I don't have the sufficient knowledge to be a surgeon. I don't. But I'm putting myself in a place of opportunity where I know I have more knowledge in this area than the rest, and I can succeed in this. Do you not feel that way?
No, most of the times I'm so scared because I feel like, okay, I'm going to finish my master's next year, and then what?
I don't know. I am right now. That's exactly my life.
Is this a big disagreement? Is this the part of the podcast where we have a huge fight? Is that what it's going to be? Huh?
To be honest, I'm happy that Marcela is on my side because she's so sassy when she won. At least now.
I feel like we've been covering very serious topics. The sassiness has not come out.
Okay, I know it's an unpopular opinion, what I just said, but I do believe it's true.
We had different experience in our masters. Like, I think you killed it more than I did, and this second master's kicked my butt every day and made me feel.
I didn't kill it in the MBA. I did
the big data.
Yeah, but like I didn't kill it in the MBA, right? So it balances out. But I still felt like I belonged there. Like I felt like this is a natural progression of my career and my skill set.
Wait, there's something we discussed this when I was with you a couple weeks ago. There's this phenomena or something. Fred was mentioning it where you're scared. Like I'm constantly scared somebody's gonna think or talk to me and figure
Yeah,
out I'm not as smart as.
it's the it's the imposter syndrome, I think.
Imposter
Yes,
Yeah,
syndrome, where you're
yes.
pretending to
yeah,
be, where you think you are someone else.
yeah.
Like yeah, okay, so I can say, oh, I have a master in big data. Yeah, sure. Ask me one thing about machine learning, I'll probably get it
That you're
wrong.
a fraud, essentially. People, you think you're a fraud.
Yes.
You're just, dude. Yeah, I'm sure we all go through that, you know. But
So
are
I don't
you?
agree with your thinking that you're slightly intelligence is superior. I mean, you might think that, and you might be correct. I don't think I am.
No, okay. It's
I
that's
also think there's different things because I feel like everybody has specific knowledge or more knowledge on an area. Like, there's no one person that's going to be very like well-rounded, competent, or intelligent in absolutely everything.
fair enough. I get what you're saying. I probably should finish my thought. Okay, that was one part of the
I'm
bigger,
sorry.
bigger like not question but bigger situation that I was raising. Like earlier on, I just mentioned, right? Like I was saying that the smarter you are, the more miserable you are, right?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
now again, I'll speak from personal experience because I don't want to generalize it because I obviously you guys clearly don't agree with me. but but yes, let me not generalize it, but it's fair. These are my thoughts specifically. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. Here's what I feel. Like a part of me really feels like and I was thinking about this like the other day as well, you know, because I don't know if you've heard like yeah, anyway, but my work permit is going to take a little more time, and I'm probably going to have another month and a half to relax before before I have to go for my before I go start working. But that just made me think, you know, instead of all this headache, what if I just like worked in Starbucks or something? I love talking to people on a daily basis. I love like just I could be a really nice barista, make friends behind, or I could be a bartender, you know, make friends, be that. I'd have a fun life where I'm interacting with people every day. I'd get involved with people's lives. I'd be able to meet new people, hear new stories, and run a bar, which is and I like some amount of manual labor, to be honest. I feel it first of all keeps you fit, keeps you active throughout the day. And second thing, it's good for you, right? Your body is constantly moving. You don't have too much time to mull on things that are taxing. Like the jobs that we have, you sit in front of a laptop, it's mentally very taxing.
Yeah.
It drains a lot out of you, right? Sitting in front of a laptop every day. Now,
Yeah, that's true.
I find that life very appealing, but here's the thing. Now, I still think I'm capable of more, right? Which is why I've put myself in a position where I've got myself the MBA and I've done the masters in big data, and I'm going for a job that requires more cognitive ability, perhaps not as much social or say physical ability as much as required. But that's going to give me a better life by normal standards, which is like I'll earn better, I'll have a better quality of life, but I will be miserable, right, in some way because I won't get as much physical activity as I would like because I would love to be in a job which requires a little more physical activity, and I would be very mentally taxed. And mental health is something that is we take for granted very easily, and we don't really uh, dig deep into why it taxes us. Now, I'm putting myself in that position because of these normal constraints of, say, a good life that we have talked about. But in all honesty, if I had resigned to a faith of, say, you know, I'm happy being a barista, why not, man? I'm sure I would have been a very happy person. That's the overall point that I'm trying to make, which was a part of the, you know, yeah. Anyway,
No, I do agree with you. I think it all depends on your purpose in life. You know, for instance, I used to work in a club, and the owner, he was always so happy, and you could clearly see that he really enjoyed being there.
Yeah.
To be honest, for me, it wouldn't work because you have to work at night, so that means you don't spend as much time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's important to have a family, and that's why probably I want to have a certain type of job that makes me provide for them. But for instance, I have a friend, she has 3 kids, now, and she basically sells like things on Etsy. And she's happy with that because she's like, I don't want to put my kids in this private schools, or I don't want health insurance because it doesn't make sense to me. But for me, that makes sense. So I wouldn't be happy just selling things on Etsy and have 3 kids. I would be in constant worry, you know? So it really depends on your purpose, I think. And honestly, I don't think you have to put yourself into a job that you don't like. So for instance, if you don't want to spend your entire life in front of a laptop, I think you're smart enough to come up with something that makes more sense to you.
No, I won't. And while that life, like see, for example, even the jobs that I've picked and applied for, and the job I'm going for, I specifically thought about if they pique my interest and it's something that I want to do. And I'm very happy where I'm going to be, but it's not going to be my 20-year, 30-year plan. You know, I'm going to be looking to be honest, this podcast, starting this and doing this the last month, I mean, I've had so much fun, you know, more than I assumed, because I thought initially that I didn't even know if it would be a fun conversation, but it's always been like every person I've talked to and every podcast that I've had, and even this conversation that we're having now, it's totally outside my agenda, by the way. Nothing that I prepared.
Yeah, I figured.
But it's fun, right? And this is what I enjoy. We have these organic conversations that we talk about something that's meaningful to each of us. And I get a lot out of that, because for me to be able to have that interaction, that I value that as a person. I value having that in my life. So I get what you're saying, and I totally get it. You know, like I'm saying all this now. I'm acting like, yeah, I can give up everything. I'll be a hippie for the rest of my life. But the fact of the matter is, I'm sitting in a room which has an air conditioning, which has all the facilities I need. I'm living a life that probably a lot of people out there struggle to afford on a daily basis. And these are things that we take for granted. It just is.
Yeah.
But do you think it's possible, like some people say, oh, if you enjoy your work, you won't work for a day?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Agree.
But do you think you can reach that?
I think so.
That's my question.
I think we should all strive to reach that, right? I think there are 2 ways out. But okay, Marcela, go. You haven't spoken in a while.
I was going to say, I was going to agree with that. I was just saying, you can't expect every day. Like, of course, I think you're going to have your days where, oh, maybe today you're just not up for it, like you don't want to, or I feel like that's completely normal. But you should definitely enjoy your work, like what you were saying, because it is ultimately what most cases takes up most of your time, and that's not a way of living. Like, if you're miserable in your job and you have to do that day in, day out, like it takes 8 hours a day at least, that's no way of living. So I do think that I loved when I was working. I loved what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think we should strive to have the best of both, right? Like, we work now, get the capital that's required to sustain a good life. But always, I think one thing I live by, and I've told everyone this, a lot of people don't agree with me, but I think this works really well. You always got to have a side gig, you know?
Yeah.
Always have a side gig, side project. That's your true passion, something you're really invested in. Always have that going on. Always invest some time to divert your interest a little bit. And your job, maybe put 90% of your focus, but save 10% of your focus on a side gig. I find, because if you truly work on something you're passionate about, right, you will eventually get good at it, because your passion will drive you to get good at it. And once you get good at it, who knows, that could be a sustainable source of alternate income, or it might even become your main gig, right?
But don't you think that once you put just 10%, in order to succeed, you have to start putting 20 and then 30?
Absolutely.
And then you're...
Absolutely. But here's the thing, right? If you truly care about something, truly care about putting in time, you're going to find that you have maybe 40 hours a day. It's a stupid thing to say, but like, you're going to find that, you know, you will make the time for it. You will go out of your way to invest time in that, to do that. And I've experienced that a few times with a few of the projects that I've done. I've experienced when I'm truly passionate about it, I've been able to do crazy things in short amounts of time. But I'm a strong believer of that. I believe that you got to have this side gig and you got to give it like, if you believe in an idea, just go for it. No matter how impossible it seems, you will find a way to figure it out. I truly think that. And I think that is a source of happiness for me. Like to achieve something impossible like that is like a source of happiness.
I think you should write a book. I would read it for sure.
No books for me.
No, but it's true. Yeah.
This podcast is going to be my book.
I was going to say, you're good on podcasts.
Thank you. Let's save the compliments for afterwards. You know, we'll stop the call and then we'll spend 15 minutes of you guys telling me how amazing I am. Please, I insist.
Thank you for that opportunity.
I insist. But very quickly, you wanna talk about something crazy? Can we talk about like two crazy things that I've
going back to the agenda you have set out?
I have two things that are absolutely bonkers. Okay, but you want to talk about it? Let's jump into it. What do you guys think? All right, first things first. Okay, this is more slightly out there, literally quite out there, and then we'll talk about the other thing, which is superstitions and all. But the first thing, aliens, yes or no? Do they exist?
Oh God, I hate this conversation. Please,
Why?
I don't want to talk about physics.
What if what are aliens, Mafs, and they're living with you?
No, that's the
Oh,
thing.
yo, Marcela's been smoking some good shit.
I mean, for the longest in my life, I always thought like, there's no aliens, it's just us. And then I thought, no, this is maybe really selfish and a stupid thing to say. And then now I kind of do believe that maybe aliens do exist. But since I met Camila, which was studying with you, I think she's an alien, for sure.
She is an alien. I absolutely love the way you did not refer to her as a person, but as a thing. She is definitely completely out there.
I love her, and I think she's the most creative person I know. But the thing she sometimes says or thinks, I truly believe she's an alien. She's too good to be a human, you know?
She's got potential to be an alien. I can see it.
But with that being said, I think I'm starting to believe in aliens.
Okay, Marcela, you first, and then I'm gonna blow your minds. Probably not.
God.
You probably will disagree
not.
with me. Probably will disagree with me right off the bat, but let's go for it. Marcela, you first.
Okay, 100% I think they exist. I think we are so insignificant in this universe, we have no idea.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I love it. Marcela's going along with me. But okay, there's actually been someone back in the 1960s created a formula. I forgot his full name, but the equation is named Drake equation. Exactly. Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it calculates, it takes a number of new stars born, number of habitable planets per solar system, percentage of stars with planets. It takes a bunch of, it takes like the percentage, the chance that life can develop intelligence. It takes very realistic values that we have. Okay. And according to this formula, we are in the Milky Way galaxy. Each galaxy itself, on an average, should have around 700 civilizations.
God.
Communicating civilizations, okay? Which means they're capable of the kind of communication that we have right now. They should be capable of that. So mathematically, I think we can conclusively say that we are not alone. I think it would be very, very naive of us to claim that we are alone. I mean, we are probably one of the dumber civilizations out there, if anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also agree.
But I had this conversation with you, and I just want to address that I have no knowledge whatsoever when it comes to physics. But for me, I struggle sometimes to understand these equations because I know every number, every letter has a meaning behind it.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know how you can come up with an equation that proves that in other galaxies you have life.
To answer this question, in my next podcast, I will be bringing on a PhD in mathematics to fully answer this question for you. No, I'm kidding. No, but actually, I will be talking to Alejandro next. So he's someone that you should look out for. But yes, that's going to come up next. But so I'm a big believer in. And as we segue on to the next topic, which is superstitions and paranormal activity, but I want to quickly touch upon one thing. I want to say that when I was a kid, I was so superstitious, dude. I would like read the horoscope every day, and if the horoscope in the morning, the first thing.
Was it ever? Did it ever guess correctly or like say it correctly? Like how on?
It was always on point. Always on point. Okay, always on point. But here's my problem with it. The thing is, it was always on point because I was making my mind think it was on point, right?
Yeah.
Self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, like I would read the horoscope, and if it said that day that something's gonna go wrong, the whole day, here's what I'd be thinking: damn, what's gonna go wrong? Is it this? Is it the test?
True.
Is it that? And then when something does not go according to plan, I'm like, damn, that was it. The horoscope knew. And then sometimes the horoscope would say, oh yeah, today's a good day for your love life, you know. I'd be looking at my crush the entire day. And if she looked at me and smiled or something, oh my God, yes, this worked. The horoscope is so true. I realized
What's your sign, by the way?
Cancer.
Oh, okay.
I realized at one point I was no longer just in. I realized that I was investing my entire day in making sure that horoscope was true. I was not waiting for it to organically happen. I was ensuring that it happened with my actions, you know. Yeah. And I stopped. And one morning, I just stopped. I decided I'm not going to read this. And I think after 3 days of bad luck from reading the horoscope, I decided I'm not going to read this anymore. I'm moving on with my life. I do not want to invest my time in this. And I never look back. I never read my horoscope after that. But I was.
You still believe it's true. You still believe like it's accurate. You just don't want to know.
No, I don't. I think it was psychosomatic, right? I thought I induced it in myself. And I was very superstitious as a kid. I believed in the whole, if a black cat walked across, I would take the longer route to reach where I have to reach rather than walk across that street. Never walked under a ladder. I did my best to never break a mirror. I did everything. I always got out of bed, and this is something I still do, and I should probably stop. I get out of bed with my right leg first.
Why?
It's apparently
for good luck.
Like you got to put your right leg down, then it's a good day.
Oh, but I do that for exams and on New Year's Eve. I always jump with my right leg.
See, look at that. Okay, well, so this was me. I was superstitious as a kid. These are the things I followed. I want to hear from you guys. What did you do? What was your what's your relationship with this superstition itself?
I think it's a comfort crutch. I don't think it's real, but if it makes you feel better, then do what you got to do.
If I can ask you, and if you're comfortable revealing, is there anything that you follow or you believe in staunchly?
When a plane takes off, I always do, I don't know how to say it in English, but with the hand when you're like praying, I forgot the word.
What, you put it together? Like you...
Where you trust your forehead and then you trust your chest and your shoulder.
Oh, you do the amen routine where you do the cross.
Ah, yeah.
But I also pray every time a plane takes off, and I guess that's more religious than superstitious.
I mean, it's...
maybe.
Are you scared of flying?
Both.
Yes.
Okay, so that's your way of coping with it. I get that. I understand that. Anything else? Or if you're not comfortable sharing, that's totally okay.
No, I'm comfortable. Just Mafs, you go, because I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have any others.
I don't know. Usually with exams, every time I was taking an exam, I would enter the room with my right foot.
Really?
And yeah. Guess what? It didn't work most of the time. Here.
Did you ever do the opposite? Just like, okay, I did badly on this exam. I'm going to go with the left one today.
No, but once I totally forgot to do this. So in the middle of the exam, I was like, no, I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. And yeah.
See, but that's how I
So
feel like our minds are way more powerful than we give it credit for. And I think it's completely a mind, I don't know.
Yeah, but that I agree with. And I do agree we have the power to influence a lot of things. We just don't realize just how powerfully we can. But
I have a crazy story then I can
Ooh,
tell you.
go for it.
yes.
No, it's not like superstitious or anything, but it's more like it's weird. So basically, when my mom was pregnant with me, my great grandmother, she was really sick and she really wanted to meet me, but she died before I was born.
Uh-huh.
And once I was like 4 and I was with my grandmother walking in this empty field and I was playing by myself and I saw this old lady on top of a tree and she was looking towards me and smiling. So I ran to my grandmother and I was like, so I saw this lady, she looks like this and that. And because at the time they were really poor, so they didn't take pictures of my great grandmother. I had no way to know how she was.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother was like, you're describing your great grandmother. And this is weird because she really wanted to meet you, but she couldn't.
Wow.
And in a way, I think probably I really saw someone there, but for my grandmother was so like such a good thing to imagine that probably my great grandmother was there to see me. So I think sometimes our mind, you kind of don't know what is true and what is not true, because I find it hard to believe that kids can see ghosts. You know what I mean?
I don't. I completely believe they can. I've heard way too many stories and I completely think it's true.
What,
I think you
ghosts?
actually saw your great grandmother.
Yeah.
Gotham is like,
No,
And I feel like you just came like you're overcompensating for how superstitious you were as a kid, so now you're just like, no, give me hard science or nothing.
no, okay, let me tell you. Like, I'm not opposed to that line of thought at all. Because I believe it'd be very you see, there are I think I've realized over time that you've seen that graph of knowledge where you're like, when you start learning something new, what it looks like. Are you familiar with this graph of knowledge? I mean, it's almost a meme, to be honest. Okay, it's like when you start learning something new, right? Once you learn the initial concepts and things like that, your immediate reaction is, okay, I know this subject, I understand this, and you're very confident about it, right? You're
yes,
and the same happened with me with say machine learning. So like the minute I learned like the basics, I was like, yeah, I understand this. I know now I can predict anything I need to. But as you keep learning, the more you learn, you realize how little you actually understand. And what you got to do at that point is you need to persevere. You need to keep learning. And eventually you reach a stage to where you're like, I'm still learning. I need to learn more. But I've built enough fundamentals and enough advanced understanding that I can start inferring certain rules, certain knowledge about certain things. Right? Now, this is the way I feel about when it comes to superstition and things like ghosts or things like anything that is of paranormal in order.
mm-hmm.
I think when I started off, and this was after my superstitious phase, and then I went into hardcore science, I realized, yeah, no, this is not true. Nothing ghost is true. Nothing is ever possible. But I think the more I read, more I learn, and more alternate science I read. And it's always good to, I think, in my opinion, always good to read as many voices of opinion as you can, and try not to like stick to the mainstream alone. But the more I read, the more I realize that maybe my understanding, or you maybe even hard science understanding, might be limited by the fact that this is a very easy explanation, right? So I'm not opposed. I'm not saying that there's never been any paranormal activity, never been any activity that's unexplained. I'm not saying 100% it's explained by science, but there has to be a middle ground, right? There has to be something. There are some aspects. Perhaps there's this person who made this quote. I'm gonna look him up. Okay. What he said was, any advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Have you heard this?
No,
Yeah, but he said
it makes sense.
it
Yeah.
makes sense, right? If you go back, say 50 years, and you show them like a laptop or show them a phone, that's magic for them. I mean, that's crazy, right? So any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So perhaps there are aspects of this universe, perhaps there are aspects of this science that we don't understand, we haven't got into, and they probably explain a lot of the phenomena that we categorize as superstition or categorize as ghosts or categorize as any of that. Does that make sense? I think that's my outlook towards it. I'm not discounting it, but I'm just saying it's not been explained yet.
Yeah, but then you have those stories about kids that talk to their parents saying, "Oh, I used to live in, I don't know, the US, and they were born in France, for instance."
You mean reincarnation, right?
Yeah,
Are you a
exactly.
believer in reincarnation?
I mean, after reading The Egg, honestly, I used to think like reincarnation would be possible, but it had to do with karma. So if you were a really nice person, you would reincarnate in, I don't know, a nice person as well. But now with The Egg, it kind of scares me because it has nothing to do with the way you conduct yourself while you are here on Earth.
You will be every single person, essentially, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a bit scary because you don't know what is going to happen. Hopefully for me, the best situation possible would be, okay, I died and now it's over.
Yeah.
You know,
Really?
but
You wouldn't want to come back?
no, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, imagine if you go and live with this horrible family and you struggle for your entire life. It's not a nice.
Can you imagine being born as Marcela in your next life?
Oh, if you could only be so lucky, Gowtham.
Just right there. The joke was right there. I had to take it. I had to do it. I'm sorry, Marcela. It just had to happen. But okay. You know, since we're talking about ghosts, do you want to do ghost stories? Should we do ghost stories? What do you guys think?
Am I gonna be able to sleep at night? If so, I'm ready.
You have 2 dogs. Dogs apparently can see ghost stories.
If you don't, just call Gowtham up. Wake him up.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
But I told Marcela this. Marcela, do you think that story is worth telling?
Which one? You
The
told me so
Salamanca
many
story?
stories. Yes. Oh, but then Mafs is really not going to sleep. But Salamanca's far away. Don't worry, Mafs.
I went to a haunted place, so I think I'm ready.
You're ready? Are you sure? No, you'll be ready. It's not that big deal. And I'm a part of me, no, like a huge, like they say 95% of me knows there's like probably a logical explanation for what happened. But like 5% of me is like, was scared. Okay. And I would wake up every night scared. But
Okay.
all right, okay, let me tell you. So I was staying in an Airbnb, which is a 3-bedroom Airbnb. And I was staying in a room, a completely private room, but there was no one else in the apartment, no other guests. The one person who was staying there, who was a long-term resident, he had gone on vacation, and the other room was supposedly unoccupied. Now, what had happened was the rooms are slightly translucent, like the doors are translucent. So if there's a light on in one room, you can see if the light is on or not. So the first 5 days, 6 days, nothing happens. But on like the 6th night or 7th night, I see the light on in the other room. And this was when I woke up at 2 a.m. So my natural assumption was someone came in when I was asleep, has occupied the other room. And while I thought it was super weird, I was like, yeah, okay, I can live with that. But the next morning when I woke up, obviously that room is not occupied. Like the nothing's changed in the house. Like I had left some of my personal belongings outside, and I left one chair close to the door, and nothing had moved. So that light on was very weird. But every night since then, the light has been on, and it's been on at a very specific time. It's like it comes on at either 10 or 11 p.m. or it comes on at 2 a.m. And it's on twice. It's on initially for a 5 minute or 5 to 10 minute period. Then it's off, and then it comes on again for like just a minute, and then it goes off. But there was one night where it would come on and off constantly. For 1 hour, it would come on, stay on for a little while, go off, then come on, stay on for a little while, go off. And that went on for 1 hour. And one night I did go check it out. I went outside to see what the light was coming from. I assumed, okay, maybe there's light coming from the window or coming from an outside source. But when I went outside the building, the window shutters are down. So there can't be light coming from outside. There's no other source for it to come from. And the light looks like, if I switch on the light in my room, that's how it looks like from that room as well. So it's like the main source of light in that room. And in the morning, I never did this at night, but in the morning I would knock and try to open the door, and it wouldn't. It's locked. So I had no idea what it was or why it was. And I spent every night. I at one point I got used to it, but towards the end I was like, okay, I'm going to be leaving soon. Is something going to happen before I leave or not? I'm not sure. But on the last day that I stayed there, just before I left, I did my best to like open the door, and it didn't open. And yeah, that was it. So I have no explanation for what happened, why the light came on. It just did. And that's something that I'll never know. But yeah, it's not much of a ghost story. Nothing really haunted me, but living alone in an old city and an old apartment, old building, kind of freaky.
Can I just ask you a question?
Please.
Are you insane? If I saw that, I would leave immediately. Like, no, I'm not saying thank you. I don't care.
But
No.
I get where you're coming from, dude. And part of me really wants to believe that was just fucking weird. And that shouldn't have happened. But I want to also believe there's like a logical explanation for what happened.
I don't know, because me and Marx, we watched this movie. I don't remember the
Veronica.
name, but it was, yeah, exactly.
She told me about it. And I'm going to watch it tonight, probably.
Mars, do you want to explain?
I've seen it. I'm going to watch it again. So
he had seen it, but he thought it was somewhere else. He had no idea it was so close. He didn't know it was Madrid, let alone.
I thought it was Latin America
so close
or something.
To where, like,
I didn't know it was Madrid.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's an hour distance from my place. So I'm scared.
It was so long ago. Don't even worry about it.
Exactly.
To be honest, I'm not even, I was terrified like the first 2 nights. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because at that point I knew there's not a person there. It's just light coming on. But here's the thing, right? When you're faced with an uncertain situation, human beings adapt like insane. We have the capability of like sort of, adapting to a situation like crazy. So at that point, I just decided this is normal. There has an explanation for it. I'm just going to sleep through it. And it never bothered me. I mean, I felt no direct effects of it. The light came on, light went off. That's it. That's all that happened. Nothing else happened beyond that. So,
yeah.
I mean, I was very, very, very like, I don't know, like slightly, not very, but like slightly disturbed by that incident. But part of me still thinks there's a logical explanation for it.
What do you think is the logical explanation? Because I'm trying to find one and I can't.
Well, the only logical explanation that I can think of is that probably there was some electrical fault which was triggered during that time. And yeah, it was probably some electrical wiring issue, and that's it. I can't think of anything else. And it wasn't triggered by anything that happened in my room. So I don't know.
I don't know. We have a story here in Portugal. I don't know if it's true or not, but we have this place, which is Serra de Sintra, and a lot of paranormal things happen there. And there's this video where basically some friends are driving and they are recording themselves, blah, blah, and then they find this person in the middle of the road, And they were like, okay, just come inside. We'll drive you to the place you want to go. And she's not talking most of the time. And out of the sudden, she goes, okay, you can leave me here because this is the place where I died.
Wow.
And then the car, I don't know what happened, but there's a car crash or something. And only one survived. And he tells the story. But I don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of things happen there. Like a lot of ghost stories. And that's why I'm scared to go there at night. Even some satanic rituals and things like that happen there. So for me, it's hard to believe that ghosts do not exist because there's I don't know, sometimes certain things happen and you don't have a logical explanation.
But let me ask you one thing, right? We've all seen horror movies, right? You've all seen that weird thing that you hear a noise you're in a house, you hear a noise, and then the person goes to explore and see what it is. What would you do in that situation? Say you're staying alone in a big house, you hear this noise, a piano playing in like 3 rooms away. What do you do?
To be honest, sometimes when that happens to me, I either try to call someone or I don't move.
You, Marcela?
No.
I think I'd go check it out.
Go check it out, right? I think I would. And Mafs, I got to tell you, I think you would go check it out as well, because in that scenario, right? What is it like? As a logical thing, you need to find out if there is something going on in that house. Someone's there, or at the very least, you would open your door, stick your head out. Who is there? What is happening? Scream out something like that, right? It seems very illogical that's the response you should have. But when you're in that situation, that's the only thing you can do. And I mean, to some extent, I was in that situation, and I went out and I checked it out because that's the only thing you can do in that situation. You need to know what's happening.
No, but that's the thing. Usually I freeze. I stay in the same place. Like, I don't care, because if I'll go there, I might die, and I don't want to die. How do you know? I don't know.
Okay, but Mas, I got to tell you one thing. It's great that you have 2 dogs, because my grandmom used to tell me that dogs have the ability to sense a spirit. So she used to say that because we used to have dogs when we were kids. And these, like the one that used to sleep outside, used to bark at night randomly, seemingly at nothing. And I would ask her, why is he barking? And she would say, oh, he's probably just seeing a spirit pass by. So when a dog barks randomly, it's probably an indication that they're seeing something that you can't see. So try to sleep tonight and let me know how it goes.
No, but that's the thing sometimes. So I have 2 dogs, and the little one, sometimes she starts barking, staring at nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. This is a ghost probably. And the worst part is, I know they are always so scared of everything. They wouldn't protect me. They would be like, no, you are the mom. You go there. You protect us. You know?
Yeah.
They are not proper dogs, I must say. I have to find a new one able to protect me.
But okay, sort of related to this topic, I want to talk about something we touched upon a little bit. Is The Secret. Have you guys heard about The Secret? The documentary and the book?
Yes. I read a few chapters, to be honest.
I'm a big believer, by the way. I'm a big believer, and it's worked for me. And I just wanted, it's worked for me. 100% it's worked for me. But you got to honestly believe it. You got to give like your all to it. And it seems very illogical, but I have a feeling it's so true. So The Secret, for anyone who might not know, to the 5 people who are listening to this and the 1 person who might not know, is that The Secret says that if you truly want something, all you got to do is truly focus on that thing, and it will happen. The universe will make it happen. And I believe this, dude. I so believe this, and I believe it. Maybe not for the overall, this thing that the universe is working to make it happen. But in my head, what it is like, if you like constantly like mull over something or constantly like believing something, right? every opportunity that comes your way, any situation that arises, you will immediately be able to recognize a situation which will take you towards that goal and act on it. So I have a strong belief that it works. But I want to get your
works for
opinion.
everything?
I think it works for everything. I think it works
Everything?
every single thing.
Okay, interesting.
But you gotta really, really like, we have mind energy. You gotta like direct all that energy to that thought.
Yeah.
Mars, you can ask for your soul back if you truly believe.
What do you guys think? Do you guys believe it's possible for us to
I've
influence?
survived this long without it, so. No, I do believe in the secret.
I don't know, because honestly, when I was reading, I tried to do it a couple of times, but probably I didn't believe in enough. And now with this vision board thing that help you visualize your main goal and everything, probably it's easier to send the message to the universe and receive back what you want. But for me, it was hard, because usually when I was asking for something, I was like, maybe this is not going to happen. So when you do that, it's done, because you're not truly believing in it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's possible, to be honest, because it makes you want to pursue the exact thing that you asked for.
Yeah.
And a lot of people pray by it. So
I mean, yeah, to some extent I do swear by it.
Do you think we have free will?
Wow, that question
Because I was
is
just thinking
so deep.
the same thing with the signs, and we've been talking about this a lot, and
Yeah.
it's like, maybe you can secret it, but maybe it's already written out in the stars, and then free will is an illusion because everything's already written out. I don't know.
No, I think that question is something that
One podcast.
it's impossible to answer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I truly wish I knew the answer, dude. I truly wish I knew if he had free will or not. But every single action that we take, how do we know it's not being influenced by... Actually, you know what? We will never know. Until we die,
Maybe
we will
when
never
we
know.
die, maybe. Or until we've lived all the lives and we can grow from being a fetus.
So to ask you, and to sort of conclude, or to bring our podcast to a conclusion, is to ask you the final question that I had prepared for us, which is, what do you think happens after death? As of now, from what your these at least 2 decades of experience that I think all of us bring. In my case, at least 3 decades of experience. What do you think happens after death?
I hope we get answers. I don't know what happens. I just hope I get all the answers to everything that we do not know.
Mafs, you?
I think it's easier to believe that something will happen, so the afterlife is real, or we are able to reincarnate. But to be honest, I don't know, maybe we just become like souls that are walking around, watching other people doing their lives.
We're the ghosts that we were just discussing, huh?
If I leave this world before you two, I'm so gonna come back and haunt you both.
I think,
Prepare.
but I think I would like to say I totally agree with both of you, and maybe there's no better way of putting it than the fact that hopefully we get the answers that we're looking for. Because I think if anything that scares me more, I'm not scared of death, but I'm scared of the fact that there's nothing beyond and we don't get the answers.
What I do believe, and this is going to be so cheesy, but you don't future's not guaranteed. The world can end, and 2020 has shown us that very often. So if there's something undone, unresolved, you should do it now.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So go Gotham, go tell that girl you love her.
Whoa. All right. So that concludes our podcast. Thank you guys so much for here. Stay on. I'm going to stop the recording, but I just want to quickly wrap it up after we finish recording. But thank you
for compliments. Yeah.
Thank you for coming here, and good to talk always. See you guys.
Thank you for
Thank
having us.
you.